You may have heard of the Earth Liberation Front. The Attorney General himself says it's a domestic terrorist organization. The FBI says it is one of the most dangerous groups in the country.
I really didn't know much about the Earth Liberation Front at all before starting to make the film. And so the movie was really kind of a journey for us.
The ELF has claimed responsibility for more than 24 major acts of eco-terrorism since 1996.
Fire bombings include attacks on lumber mills, wild horse corrals, and 2 meat packing plants.
So far, not one of the cases has ever been solved, and authorities acknowledge they know next to nothing about the membership or the leadership of the organization.
Each time we'd meet someone new, our perspective would change or expand or stretch in a new way. So the things that were most shocking to me were just how complex these issues were. And the goal in the way that we constructed and edited the movie was to take the viewer on that same journey that we took when we were making it.
I had never seen with my own eyes what kind of world we lived in. I feel like I'm in perpetual mourning, and I have been from the moment that, like, I don't know, that I kind of took the blinders off and was like, holy crap, what the hell are we doing?
And I got involved pretty much instantly.
I protested constantly.
Daniel's experience had been to sort of try and affect change in the way that we all think that change can happen in America, which is through the democratic process. Writing letters and signing petitions and even trying to visit their representatives in government, but they felt really stymied by the process. There was a real sense of desperation at the time that people felt compelled to take their actions and their activism to a more radical level.
There was this place downtown. It had 40 old heritage trees, and they were going to put in a parking lot for Symantec, this big corporation next door, and they were going to cut down the trees to do it.
But as they prepared to take the issue to the next city council meeting, the city suddenly announced that it would cut the trees one day before that public hearing.
On Sunday morning, about 2:30 in the morning, about 11 people went up into the trees to prevent them from being cut, just for one day, so the citizens could talk to the city council the next day about saving them.
They came in right away wearing riot gear and gas masks and stuff like that.
Cutting, their pants and pepper spraying them in the ass and pepper spraying them in the balls, and while they were hanging from the limbs 40 feet up.
The way that law enforcement approach the work of activists might radicalize people, polarize people, or bring people into the democratic process.
The argument that you need to work within the system was pretty well dashed by what the cops did on that day in Eugene.
The company that had been moved in to make room for those trees is no longer even there in downtown Eugene. They moved out. So it was temporary, and those trees are gone.
The U.S. Forest Service's real job is to provide trees for these timber companies so they can cut these trees from our national forests. They were cutting down these massive old-growth trees, up to 750, even 1,000 years old, that were just massive.
One of the big questions of the film is, what is terrorism? The government charged these arsons as terrorism. People on the other side say this is not terrorism at all, this is property destruction. All of the arsons that have ever been committed by the Earth Liberation Front, of all of those arsons, no one's ever been hurt in any of them. And they consider it more like the Boston Tea Party, symbolic property destruction to draw attention to something. But they actually are really huge fires, and they're really dangerous. So the government considers it that they're using fear and intimidation to try to force people to do what they want, which is, in some people's minds, the essence of terrorism.
This is not what the protest was about.
It's sort of a shame because I think everyone's goal was the same, which is like, let's solve these problems that are so insurmountable.
In all, their trail of destruction resulted in millions of dollars of property damage. Today's indictment is a significant step in bringing these terrorists to justice.
It's hideous to be called a terrorist. There was no one in any of these facilities, and yet I'm facing life plus 335 years.
The ELF obviously had devastating effects for their victims and also for their own movement, and I think it's raised questions about their tactics, but I think the question still remains is, what are we going to do about these nagging issues?
We're really just hoping that people will think about them and have conversations about them and read more in a skeptical, broader way, and I don't know, hopefully just elevate the conversation a little bit.
Can we show a little discipline?